Good morning, everybody. Craig Glale, and I'm going to talk about the VA and what's going on with your VA. And this is one of my passion projects that I don't talk about enough on here, and I'm going to talk about it. Now, for those of you that, when I'm talking mostly to my veterans, and I'm going to say that I'm talking mostly to my veterans, but I say that this is an issue that we need to not just be a veteran issue. It needs to be a across the board, all of my constituents discussion. If you aren't following what's happening with the VA and our government employees, I'm going to give you a little bit of a bit now with Doge and President Trump's his whole presidency. There has been what we call a riff, and what a riff is when we remove federal employees and we basically give them a buyout and we do something to get rid of them as federal employees. This is different than a firing. This is more like a layoff, a permanent layoff. They can still reapply, they get rehire preference, but this is what a riff is. Now, and I'm not going to talk about the overall government employment. I'm going to talk about just the VA. Now, the RIF numbers for the VA, specifically VA healthcare, because if you don't know, the VA has two parts. It's VA admin and then VA healthcare. There are two distinct halves of the VA. Just VA healthcare has a RIF number of about 50,000 people, okay, across the United States. There's been discussion of trying to raise that number from 50,000 people to 100,000 people. Now, I'm not sure if you understand what that means when it comes to manning and care for veterans. That's brutal. That means it's going to be even harder for us to get broken veterans like myself to get care. Now, I'm fortunate. I won't lie, I'm 100%. I've got stuff going on in my brain. I've got scar tissue in my brain. There are lots of veterans that are as bad as me. I like to say that I'm, as my injuries go, I'm lucky. There are veterans that are significantly worse than me that can't work full time. And there are veterans that are lower percentage than me that don't get the care that I get. But even with me as 100%, it's hard for me to get care. Now, this is going to be brutal, okay? Their answer is oh, we're just going to push people out of town. Well, the problem is there's also, and with the whole RIF discussion there's discussion of completely, now along with that RIF, and if you're not paying attention to what Mr. Trump's chairperson of the VA is saying, they are talking how he wants to get a RIF number, or he wants to RIF close to 50-60% of the VA, and he wants to completely dismantle VA admin, where I don't know how you're going to completely dismantle VA admin, because dismantling VA admin means there's no pathway to programs. That means GI Bill is going to absolutely fall apart. That means all of our elder care programs, all these other programs are going to be completely, I don't know what pathway to, access to these programs we're going to do, but this is catastrophic. But a 50-60% RIF of the VA is going to completely just decimate the VA. It's impossible, and I don't know how. The only way to do that is to literally completely dismantle our VA care system and just completely stop care and completely stop our access to programs. Now, there's discussion of, we're going to completely civilianize the VA, and my question is how are you going to pay for this? Because it's expensive. I'm not going to lie. VA healthcare is expensive program. This is one of the reasons why we have so much access to care issues, the fact that it is expensive. And one of my veteran friends was bringing this up to me, and I'm like, my answer is look at the casualty numbers. If you look at the casualty numbers historically, percentage, not actual numbers, our casualty percentage rates have stayed World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and then OIF. The casualty percentages have stayed roughly in range. The problem is the mortality rate has dropped significantly thanks to body armor, things like the shock trauma platoons, and things like, as those who don't know what STP is, it's the Navy version, the Navy Marine Corps version of a MASH unit. Because we were trying our best to save lives and beat the golden hour. Get those of you that know healthcare. So our survivability has gone up significantly, but our overall casualty rate has stayed the same. The problem is this has made our, what we dub Lincoln's Promise in the VA, has become very expensive. And there's lots of discussion that we're going to push you out uh, into civilian care, and then also further into the marketplace. The problem is the marketplace is expensive, and this is my question: is how are we planning on paying for this? Because there are a plethora of veterans that I touch on a daily basis. Because this is what I do. I deal with veterans. I work with veterans. This is going to be shifting the cost from the pocket of the government to the veteran is not an acceptable discussion, because many of us can't afford it, because many of the veterans are just trying to survive. My father, who is a Vietnam era veteran, he's a retiree. He retired from the military after 22 years of service. He never went to the VA and got a VA rating because it wasn't worth it to him, because he didn't want to go VA care. He had TRICARE. But again, this is the answer, is the fact of just pushing it into the marketplace and shifting the burden of cost from the government to the veterans themselves is not acceptable. Because guess what? This was part of the things we were promised when we joined the military, was the fact of, if we do go to combat, if we do injure ourselves in the line of service, we're going to be taken care of. The military is very straining on the body. There's a lot of stuff we're going to very much stop the United States military's effectiveness if we start telling our troops that, yeah, your injuries aren't going to be taken care of. This is scary to me, because now we're not holding our promises of what we promised our troops. This is scary to me, and I tell everybody to please pay attention, both my veterans and all my constituents, is to pay attention to this, because guess what? This is scary, because the fact that we're going to stop taking care of our troops for when we do stupid things, especially with right now what's going on between Israel and Iran. If we go into there, it's going to be scary. If you think Afghanistan was a mess, just wait till we go into Iran. I'm afraid, because their terrain makes Afghanistan look nice. This is going to be an interesting argument, and these are all the things I'm saying. The fact of Lincoln's promise, the Lincoln of we're going to get care afterwards, is part of the promise that we go into willingly and doing these things. So I'm not doing this to rile people up. I'm doing this so you guys know what's going on, so you can talk to your local leaders, so you can talk to your congressmen and your senators, and reach out to President Trump and saying, hey, we want to support our troops. And this is where I say, if you want to support our troops, this is an issue that you need to get behind, because getting the VA is not an option. We need to make sure there's a pathway to care for our troops, no matter what, after they get out, because there's a lot of individuals out there that are in the veteran community that have long-term care issues. I'm 10 years out. I've been out of the military for, good Lord, it's 15 years now. I still have issues with some of the things. I'm still not the biggest fan of fireworks. They still make me jump and do this. I'm still almost as bad as a dog. I avoid fireworks because I don't like how much it raises my blood pressure. But again, my answer is just go enjoy your fireworks. But again, this is the answer, is the fact that we cannot gut the VA unless there's a pathway to care. And again, I've got no problem with the decision, but share with me the pathway. Show me the end goal, and I will absolutely support you. Because guess what? This is going to be the answer of when it comes to all of our healthcare. And this is my answer. I've got no problem with the decision. Show me the end result. Because again, it's all about that slippery slope. Show me your end goal. Show me your whole pathway instead of this first step, and I will absolutely support you. If you can show me what your end pathway is, I will absolutely support you. But I need to know more. Because right now, I see something scary. I see a lot of unmedicated, uncared for veterans that are just going to be a danger to civil discourse. So, and again, I say things scary, and the problem is most of the guys from my time in the military are some of the most gentle, loving individuals that they are. They've done a lot of time and energy getting away from where they were to be some of the nicest, gentlest, loving individuals you'll ever meet, because they don't like what they did what they had to do for the man and woman to the left and to the right of them, but they did not like what they had to do, but it was a job. So Again, I love all you all. I love all my shipmates, and have a great day.